And hi everyone. I'm Vanessa, and I'm here with John Worthington. We call our show "Mental Arts with John Worthington." How are you doing today, John?
Well, I'm wonderful. I thought I told you, but I'm still wonderful.
Yeah, you are. You are so wonderful.
I know.
Uh, so today, we were gonna. I wanted to chit chat with you a little bit about one of your seminars that you have online that you call the Dyad, and it's what an 8 week gig, and we meet once a week.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, we
Okay. So
do.
if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Well, okay. There's. I can tell you lots about it. First of all, tell you what it is, what it's, who it's for, and what it's about. Okay. How about we do that?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay. What it is actually is a interactive uh, uh, exchange where people in relationships, whether it's husband and wife, or sons and daughters, and parents and so forth, people in any kind of relationship, business or whatever, can begin to take apart the different parts of the relationship and see where there are well, we say holes in the communication, or uh, beliefs that are not actually shared, that are thought to be shared, all kinds of things of that nature that cause for a hole in communication of information, because one person is thinking one thing, another person is thinking something else, and they're both saying the same word to refer to these different things. And so that class is designed to begin to uncover those things so that people can find them for themselves. I don't go looking for those things, but I do lay out enough information so that somebody can say, oh, okay, I see. This is something I need to understand. And to do that, we do a couple of things. One of them is we talk about how it is that a relationship, what are the component parts. But we also refer to what people have thought about relationships across the course of history. We examine some of the things that people talk about, and why those things were important to them. Why that quote was remembered for centuries, sometimes millennia. But we want people to understand why that is. Okay, what's going on with that? Um, for instance, one of the things that we introduce early on with people is that, look, you know, there's a place out beyond right doing and wrong doing, and if you meet me there, we can talk. But we can't talk as long as we're talking, as long as there's right doing and wrong doing. Okay, there's no communication possible. You did me wrong. I know I was right about what I said, and you were wrong about behaving that way. That's an argument that has no end. So we try to get out of that. We try to get people past that place so that they can actually stop and look at the world or their relationship without that argument there. I think that's pretty important, those kinds of things. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. So when you say that you go back and you look at things, so you look at quotes, is that what you're saying?
Look at what?
Quotes, like why do you use like like I know that
Oh,
when you're
quotes, you mean?
teaching, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, like why do you use that set of
Well, because they're pertinent to relationships. They're quotes. They're quotes that everybody's heard. If they haven't, they should have. That have to do with how we relate with one another. And so they're not necessarily my thoughts, although I have thoughts that are similar to what they're talking about. But I use their thoughts as a basis to explain why they thought that way, without saying, okay, this is my opinion and you have to follow me. No, I don't want. I'm not trying to get that going on. I'm trying to get people to stop and think about why other people have said these things about relationships.
mm-hmm.
Because relationships actually are between two people. Not one person can't be the relationship. If it's a one-person relationship, there's not a relationship. There's an old saying that goes like this: if you are you because I'm because I if I am I because you are you, then I am not I and you are not you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's true. If I rely on you to be who I am, then I'm not being anything, and neither are you.
Mm-hmm.
So what else we
So
got there? What else? What other questions you want to ask about the Dyad class, kiddo?
well, what? How does it like? How do you component? So you okay? So what do they do in the class?
Well, what we do in the class is this: is that we examine a goals means program, which means that we look at what a goals means program is and what a program is in the biocomputer, and then we look at what a program is in a business. In other words, when it's more than a person. When there's multiple people, a business or a relationship, for instance, that has the same types of programming requirements. And so what we do with that is we borrow a program formed from Peter Drucker, which is called the MBO, or Management by Objective. And so what we do with that is we have the couple actually write out what it is they want. We have them write 10 things they want, 10 things. And then when we start looking at that list of 10 things, almost always there are 8 things that all fall together, and 2 things that are out of left field somewhere. Okay, sometimes it's 9 and 1, sometimes it's 7 and 3, but mostly it's 8 and 2. Okay, and so what we do is we try to get them to combine all of those 8 things into one thing. And we say, okay, that would be an objective for you, right? That's something you're trying to accomplish in your collective life. And they say, oh yeah, that's right, we are. That's what we're trying to do. So we say, okay, what are the goals for that? That objective has certain parts in it that you have to take apart and look at. So what would those be? What would those objectives or those goals be? And then we ask them, okay, how do you do that thing? What is it what did you guys agree on with that? What's the operative the modus operandi? Harry and Mary Ellen Peterson used to shuffle for things. In other words, they'd be sitting at the table and somebody forgot the ketchup. Each of them would shuffle their feet once, and depending on who won the shuffle, that was who got up and went and got the ketchup. Even the kids got into that eventually, but that was how they worked out that thing, so they didn't fight about who got up and get the ketchup. They just whoever lost the shuffle. They had strange rules about the shuffling and so forth, but it worked for them. Okay, you with? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's what we're trying to do with people. Is try. Okay, how do you do that? What works for you? And then we stop. And we go one step further. We say, okay, what are the recurring events that you actually have in your life? Not the events that reoccur, but the events that recur. In other words, when you go on vacation, what do you think about when you go on vacation? When you have a date night, what do you think about date night? When you go to the grocery store, what are you thinking about going to the grocery store? I mean, how are you buying those groceries? Are you buying those groceries because they're cheapest, because you're trying to make the paycheck last, or because you're getting what you want because you want to feel good about you as a couple, for instance? Should be a little bit of both in any part of that relationship, I would think, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So what we try to do with people is we try to get them to see those things, and we give them some bolstering about that, about look, it's okay that you guys are not the same. It really is. You know, you don't have to be the same. As a matter of, I mean, the North Pole and the South Pole on a magnet isn't the same. They're different, and they're separated. There's a line of demarcation between the two of them. Well, that's good. That doesn't mean that you have to be two fuzzy things that are trying to be all the same thing. It means that you're separate things, each trying to do what you do. Don't you think that's a good idea?
Yeah. So and you take this class with 8 weeks, right? Online.
Yeah, it is. How we do that is we do a Zoom class. We do a Zoom line, and people can come on on that line for $30 a session, and the class repeats itself on Thursdays. Every Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern time, we do the class, and so you can come in the middle of the class, or you come in at the end of the class, and it just keeps on going, because it's the same material. There really isn't an order to it. It's all things you have to think about in any relationship. So that even though it's ordered the way that I present it in one from class 1 to class 8, it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody has to follow it in that order. They could follow it in a musical scale is the same musical scale whether you start at 1 or at 5 or whatever. It's the same scale, and so that's what we're talking about here. It's kind of like a musical scale in a way.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what do you think that people should? I don't know. What do you think that they get out of the dyad class?
Well, what I'm thinking about for any class is that when the people get through the class, that they are more nearly self-purposing than they were when they started.
Okay. When you say self-purposing, what is that? What are you talking about? Self-purposing. What is
Yeah, well,
self-purposing for you?
that's one of my litmus tests, I guess. You were asking me before about how I use the MBO. I mean, how I use the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the places I use the playing field right up front with everybody I meet.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I want to find out about that person is, first of all, who they are. Like where'd they come from? How many? Which kid were you? What mom and dad do? Where'd you live? Did you live close to grandma and grandpa? Were they an influence in your life? What are the influences in your life? How did you grow up? Because I want to understand how they see the world, not how I see the world. I want to see how they do.
Mm-hmm.
However, there comes a point where I'm going to ask them, okay, there's this thing called the soul. And so how do you relate to the soul? They say, oh, yeah, I have a soul. And the minute the guy says, well, I have a soul, then I know that he's not a self-purposing person. Now, before everybody gets all
Why
bent
is
out of
that?
shape, before everybody gets bent out of shape, let me explain it to you, okay?
Okay.
Look, B1 means that you are one entity, not two entities, not an entity that has another entity. You are one entity. You are a physical entity and you are a spiritual entity at one and the same time. Both things are true at once. Both things can be true and both things are true. For us to decide that we are only one or the other is a travesty. And so if in a relationship, you don't really want to have that. You don't want to have one person that's arguing about the spiritual side of things and the other person arguing about the physical side of things. And often that happens. The
What do you
guys
mean?
the guys will often argue about the physical part of things because they have to go out and work is often physical. And the ladies are thinking about the spiritual part of raising the children. And so there's a divide between the two as to what's important. And so what we try to do in this class is we try to bring those two ideas together in such a way that people can say, well, yeah, I see, I can get along with her because, well, it's like we say, men are archetypically form related in their thinking, and women are archetypically germinally related in their thinking. In other words, guys think about the form of how to get it done, and ladies think about how to grow it. And that's a typical idea for women and for men. It's not a generalization. It's just a typical thing that you will find in feminine concepts and male concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you've got to think about a lot of concepts to know which ones are to have that catalog, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Like I know exactly what you're talking about, but yeah, you do need to
Well,
know.
if you work in the tank office, then what I'm talking about is something that is relatively self-evident because in order to stay in the tank office and have ongoing relationships with people, you have to follow all those concepts, I think. Well,
Mm-hmm.
most of them at least. You can't get people just out of the tank and say, you're doing this wrong, because if you say that to them, you'll program them like that forever, maybe, because
Yeah.
they may not be able to find that program ever again. So you have to be
Mm-hmm.
careful not to do that. You have to be careful to encourage them to do their own programming and find their own way and find their own solutions. Don't you think?
Yeah, but excuse me, sorry. When you go back to the self-purposing people, I don't think that. So you go back. You use the playing field to see the self-purposing people.
Yes.
See, okay.
Because look, if somebody's at one with themselves, then another thing that's going to be true is they're going to be doing what they want to do in life. Okay, if somebody's working for somebody else, they're not really probably not going to be self-purposing. I mean, that's not always the case, but there's a good chance. I mean, it's a sign to start looking for. It's a red
Mm-hmm.
flag, as it were, or a yellow flag maybe, to start looking to say, okay, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Another thing that I look for is I look for to see whether or not they can change their mind. Because you see, to be in harmony, you have to be able to change your mind about where you are and about what you think. Because not everybody thinks the same as you do. In fact, no one thinks the same as you do.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have your experiences. They don't have your personality. They don't have your view of life. Nothing. It's not
Mm-hmm.
nothing's the same. So I want to see if somebody's big enough to be able to, and sure enough of themselves to be able to be okay with whoever they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean from bravado.
Okay, so what do you
I'm
mean
fine
then?
how I no that guy can go to hell in a handbasket. I don't want to talk to him. Okay, sorry, but he's not my cup of tea really.
Mm-hmm.
What the fellow I'm looking for is going to be saying, okay, yeah, you know what? Talk to me about this. I want to understand what you're saying. I may or may not agree with you, but I want to understand what the facts are that you're using to come to this conclusion. That's an adult person.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody who's at one with themselves. Now,
Oh, okay. So,
that person is very likely to communicate actual information. And that person is very likely to know the difference between three things. He's very likely to know what he believes, what he thinks, and what he knows.
over, like, so you saying that if somebody has the ability to change their mind, they have these three.
Well, if they can change their mind, then they can examine what they're thinking with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that means that they can say, okay, well, these are things that I know, not things I just believe. I read this one time in the Marvel comic book, and so now I know this is how it is. I think that religion has always fucked with people. How do you know that? You don't know that. That's not something that you actually know. It's something you believe. I don't mind that you believe it, and even if it's something that you think. I don't mind that you think that. But don't tell me that
Mm-hmm.
you know it if you haven't been there, if you haven't studied it, if you don't understand the history of it. That doesn't mean you know anything yet. Okay, because knowing how you know something requires three parts. You have to have the source, a source that says this is the thing. You have to have the experience of saying, oh, I'm doing the thing. And then you have to have somebody come along and say, wow, look at that. Vanessa did the thing. Isn't that wonderful? That's what the brain requires to know something, those three parts. I didn't make that up. The brain made that up. I just happen to notice that my brain does that. If I don't have those three parts, it doesn't treat it as if it's knowledge. It treats it as if, who knows, it could be. So I can procrastinate about those things. The things that I know how I know, can't do that. I got to deal with
So,
that.
so you're saying, so if the only way that I know how I know is if an example would be, give me an example,
Okay,
like a true live example.
okay, here we go. Do you know what it means to have a baby?
Yes, I do.
You have experience on that.
Yes, this is four
Okay.
times.
Okay. Let me ask you something else. How long are you a mom once you have a baby?
You're forever a mom.
You're always a mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter whatever else you do in life, you're always a mom, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
No matter whatever else, you're
Mm-hmm.
always a mom. Now you know how you know that, right? That's not something you think. That's not something you believe is true. That's something that you know damn well is the fact.
Yes.
And why? Because you've been told that, you've had the experience of that, and other people have said, "Yeah, you're a mom forever." God damn it!
And there's four people to prove it
There's,
too.
there's your experience right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's a silly example. Here's another example. Uh, do you know whether Republicans or Democrats are really in the correct ideas?
No.
You don't know, right? You don't follow
No.
politics. I mean,
I
politics
know.
is something that is like, what the hell is that? You don't give a damn even about it. You think you might have an idea or an opinion or something, but if I ask you about what it is, I don't know, because you think you think about your opinion. You don't know how you know. In fact, you don't really actually believe anything is true about that or not, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I ask you about whether or not you should cross yourself when you walk in front of a church, a Catholic church. Now,
Do I do this? Yes, I do.
yes, you do. So but you believe that that's something real, yeah?
Yes, it's
Do
respect.
you know how you know that it's real, or you just believe it?
I just believe it because my mom told me to.
That's right. But you just believe that, right?
The
You don't
Catholic
think about
Church told
that.
me.
You don't think that. You believe it.
Exactly.
Okay. Those are three examples of three different thought processes. In one, you know how you know. You're a mom.
Yeah.
Forever and a day, you're going to be a mommy. Vanessa's a mommy. Vanessa's a mommy. Okay. You think that you might have an opinion about politics if you only understood what the hell they were, but you believe that you better cross yourself if you get in your Catholic church.
Yes.
Okay. Those are different types of thoughts, right? You can't treat them all as the same.
No, you can't. You can't.
Well, we want people to see in a Dyad class. We
But
want
they
people to.
are all true.
They're all true, but that doesn't. But my relationship with them changes. Okay. In other words, it's not really a fact that I have to cross myself when I cross. I've never done that, so I don't have to. It's something that you and your mom believe is true. I don't believe it's true, so I don't do it. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that I think that you're wrong. I just don't think it's true. Okay. Do I think that you're wrong for doing it? No, I understand. You believe it's true, but you believe it. And so you should act on what you believe is true. That way you find out whether it's true or not. Okay.
I act on what I believe is true. Yeah.
That's right. Well, everybody should. Okay. That if they shouldn't apologize for it. They should know that's who I am. I'm acting on what I believe is true. Me too. I'm doing the same thing. I'm acting on what I believe is true. I don't believe that the Catholic Church is any stronger or any different than anybody else's church. But you weren't raised that way. You were raised to think that it is different, that the Catholic Church is it.
Well, no, I see it differently now, but
you weren't raised that way. You weren't raised that way, and so therefore you think that way.
Yes.
You haven't gone back and re-examined that so that you know how you know. You still think that way. Okay, in a relationship, what if a woman thinks that the way to please her man is to give him what he wants?
Well, that's the way that she was raised. That's what she saw.
Yes, but what's that going to do to the relationship?
Well, that's what's going to play out.
Well, it's going to fuck with it, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, because it's not going to
That's right,
feel
because
equal.
she's going to say that she's going to make him happy. Does she have that ability?
No. Nor does he.
He's the only one who can make him happy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so she's afraid that he's going to be mad. And so rather than dealing with him about why he's mad, what she does is she tries to hide anything that she thinks might make him mad. That's a refusal. Okay, think about it. That's a refusal of responsibility. I'm not responsible for how he behaves. I am responsible for how he behaves. It's my fault. I made him mad. Get the fuck away from me, bitch. No, you didn't make me mad. I was mad because I was mad. I wanted to express something to you that I want you to hear that I can't get across to you any other way. I'll stop doing it. I'll be good. Love me, please. No, thank you. I don't think I thanks a lot, but I can't do that. I just it's like menudo. I've never been that hungry. So you see, the guy does the same thing. Oh, I'm in love with you. Oh, you're my new mommy. No one's your new mommy. No, there is no such thing as that. You are with a girl that is a unique girl that you've never met before, and you know what? She has some strange ways about her. She comes from a good family, but she just worked out some strange ways. Not any different than yours. And the two of you ought to get together about that. So the Dyad class is about those kinds of things, you see.
Mm-hmm. To see the different ways of how each of them are particularly unique.
Yes. Yeah. And the other part of it is that, you know what, even though that they're very different, that's great. That's a wonderful thing. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
to be the same in ever. They just don't. They don't have to do that. They don't have. You know, she doesn't have to make him happy. What she has to do is she has to do the things that she likes.
Mm-hmm.
That'll make him happy. If he's doing what he likes, that should make him happy. Now, if what he likes is something that she can't put up with, then why are they together?
Exactly.
Why is she trying to force him to do something that he doesn't want to do? Nobody
Mm-hmm.
does anything they don't want to. I mean, I can't. Hell, the dog. I got a dog that doesn't do anything except what he wants to.
I have
I
a
can
cat
call him. I mean,
dog.
if he wants to go bark at a car, I can call him all I want to. He ain't gonna come back. He's gonna go to bark at the car.
Yeah, my dog ends up at the neighbor's yard. There's no bringing her back.
Well, it's the same thing. If I have a stone in my hand, that dog wants me to throw the stone so he can go chase it. He's not going to get it or anything. He's just going to go chase it. Now he wants to do that. See, I mean, he'll jump up and down and tell me all over. Oh, throw the stone, throw the stone, throw the stone. Come on, throw the stone. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. People who want to do things act that way. They say, "Oh, come on, let's do this."
Mm-hmm.
Now, in a couple, a lot of times what you hear is this: you hear the guy saying, "Oh, come on, come on, come on, let's go do this," and she's saying, "No, I'm too tired. I don't want to go do that thing with you." He's
Mm-hmm.
been busting his ass outside all day. He wants to go do something now. And she's saying, "No, I'm too tired. The children have been too much for me today." Okay. Now, he needs to understand that the children really do need care. And he can't just run out and do because, yeah, no, the kids come first. Then the parents. Children first, then
Mm-hmm.
the parents. That means that the parents can't think about themselves only. That means that the
Mm-hmm.
parent has to understand that they are a physical and spiritual entity at the one and the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Or
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, I think it's fortunate, really. And I think that it's a good thing that kind of forces us to have to deal with reality
Mm-hmm.
instead of what I think this is true, and you can't convince me otherwise. Okay, let's see how that works. I think that taking horseworming medicine will cure me of COVID-19. Why are you in the hospital for the horseworming medicine, dude? Well, it didn't work. Then why did you take it to begin with? Everybody told you it wouldn't work. Well, I heard it on the internet. Well, you're a damn fool. There's a vaccine for that. You don't want the vaccine. You want to take horseworming medicine? Really? Let me see. I see you got your MAGA hat on there, fella. Do you have to wear that? Is that kind of the uniform to go to a Trump rally? Is it? You know what? A uniform for me to go to school is a mask. A uniform for me to go out into public is a mask because there's a lot of COVID-19 Delta variety out running around, and it can kill my ass. So I need to put a mask on so I don't pick that up, and I still liable to pick it up, but I'm going to at least do my damnedest to limit my exposure to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't need to do that, okay, then you're only a physical entity. That I got it. That's good. No, I don't need to. No, I don't need to ask anything else. I'm done for right here. Thank you very much for your participation, though.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not anything else that we can talk about from here because you're self-destructive. That's hardly being one with yourself, is it? You're not being in harmony with anybody else because you're only thinking about yourself. Heavens to Betsy. See, those are ways that you use the playing field. And that's the reason why the playing field is a part of the dyad class is that we want couples to see how the relationship can be measured. because the playing field is a measuring tape. It's not a belief structure. It's just simply a way to say, okay, here's a grid. Put your thoughts, put your relationship on this grid and see how it's working.
Okay. So how many
Okay.
people can take this if they're interested?
Well, I think we have room for 1,000 people on the Zoom call,
Okay.
and so we could deal with quite a few, because mostly everybody has the same kinds of questions, and so we can deal with the same. And also, when somebody takes that class, then we answer questions on Slack when they ask them, so that everybody can read the answers when they get a chance. Because on Slack's a great platform, because it allows me to write something now about a certain subject, and I can even write about that subject, and I can go to another channel and write something about another subject, and you can come read both of those subjects when you have time, and so can anybody else on the channel. They can come read and reply to it, and when they have time to further ask a question, you can move that forward. You can reply to that particular idea, and then everybody that wants to read it can read it. So that gives everybody a chance to examine what they're going through.
Okay. And then like they just contact info@artismentalis.com, I guess.
Gee, I
Or
don't know
shoot
how they
us.
do that. To tell you the truth, I don't know how they do that. That's beyond my pay grade.
I have it. I think it's mentalartswithjohnworthington@gmail.com.
Okay, well then, see, you would know that better than me, because
I do.
that
I should have told you,
yeah.
but yeah.
I see. I'm an old guy. I'm back with Nicola, and folding phones and those kinds of things.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
the
I
paper.
used to dial with my finger, like
Oh yeah. You'd stick
around
it.
like that.
Paper
Yeah,
paper
yeah.
cuts, right?
Well, no, it just wore blisters on the side of your finger if you had to dial a lot. That's all. And you learn how to,
Oh, okay.
put your finger on through the hole, and it's just great stuff.
Yeah.
And if you
Well,
if you did a lot, you wore the numbers off by coming. Oh wow, you call a lot, don't you?
you use it. Yeah. Wonder how
You
much you
don't.
pay for phone bill.
Yeah, that was always a question too. Yeah.
Did not have anything to do with me.
No. So, but then progress came along, and we got touch tone, so you could hit the numbers just like that.
Then
And
you
if you
could
called a lot, if
you
you
wore
called a lot,
those
you could.
numbers out.
Yeah, that's it. If you wore those numbers out, people said, "Damn, you need to get a life. You need to get off
Go
the phone, dude.
outside.
God, what are
Yeah.
you doing there?" And then along came smartphones, and all of us guys that did that said, "The hell was that?
Yeah. But
Damn."
you knew more about the smartphones than any older person or wiser person of your generation has.
Well, yeah,
Knows.
because I'm sorry, but I did. But things get past you eventually, and it's like well, let me put it this way: I just don't want to keep up anymore. It's fine. You guys go on. I'll just sit here and rest for a little bit. You guys, I'll be along. Don't worry.
Well, you kept up.
I may need a
Still
hand with it,
buckle
but
on.
I'm coming. I'm coming. Just leave me alone now.
Yeah, so it's innovating. I guess we all do that, right?
Yeah.
Innovation.
Innovate. Well, that's what a business is. A business is only those two things: innovation and marketing. And so that's what we do: is we innovate.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, what is marketing? Talking to people.
Mhm.
And so that's what we try to do: is we try to innovate new ideas and talk to people about them, so they can take them and use them and do other things with them, what we're doing.
Mhm.
That's the whole idea, right?
Yeah. Well, John, thank you so much. I think I have to go to attend to babies, but thank you so much for joining us,
Well, you're welcome.
and everybody else for listening to us. And we'll shoot you up in some other time.
Well, all right. I hope that we do that soon, because I like talking to folks. This is a nice thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. And I'll
Okay.
see you
Okay.
later. Bye.
Sounds good.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.